And just then my time for R&R had arrived, so got on a helicopter, left the country for 2 weeks before returning to forward operating base RAHIM. Well, there go the guys, they're on their way to Rage. You can see the dog there, sniffing IEDs, going out into the desert. So they're heading north, got the quad with them as well. I'm on the Super Sanger. It is the 29th of July. It's my first recording in a long time actually. Came back from R&R a couple of days ago. A hell of a lot to catch up on as far as news. And most of the news isn't good. I went on R&R, had such a fantastic R&R with Liz. Went to Turkey. Went to an awesome little town on the coast where nothing much happens, but it was brilliant because it was the best place to relax. And we just sat on the beach, watched the sunsets, swam in the pool and drank a hell of a lot of FS shandies. FS is the Turkish beer, and very, very good. We then went down the coast, got on a little boat and putted up the coast for 3 or 4 days, which was awesome. There were loggerhead turtles, swam with the loggerhead turtles, found a stingray, swam with the stingray. There was also an awesome Dutch family with some kids, so we spoke Afrikaans with them, and we actually had a really, really awesome time. So yeah, R&R, couldn't have wished for anything better. It was absolutely brilliant. And then yeah, after R&R, obviously got on the plane, came back here where I am now, back at RAHIM. Bad incident yesterday morning though, because nothing much seemed to happen while I was away. You know, a couple of gunfights. I was speaking to the lads. Our platoon commander, took a bullet to the antenna of his radio, which was sticking up above his head. So a hell of a close call there. They seemed to get ambushed a couple of times, but none of the rounds seemed to land, luckily. And then yesterday our patrol went out, 6th platoon again, shame, that was the platoon that Wilson was a part of, down at Adenzai again, which is where we'll be in 4 days' time. And that place is obviously ringed with IEDs because they went on a patrol, they walked out, they found one, they marked and avoided, walked around it, straight onto another one. Huge blast, the horn man up front. Have a look at this Chinook coming in. Yeah, it's a bit blurred, but because the amount of IEDs we've got here at the moment, a lot of the transport is being done by chopper, which is really helpful. But yeah, Hornman struck the IED, both legs amputated instantly. The thumb on his right hand was taken off and also broke his jaw. So obviously a hell of a bad blast. The bad news also is the cover man who was covering him, a corporal, he took a lot of the blast to his side. He got fragged all up his side, broke his arm, but also the frag got underneath his ballistic glasses. He's lost his one eye, and it looks like he'll lose his other eye as well. So it looks like he's been blinded, which is you know, hell of a bad news. It's one of the worst things that can happen to a guy out here. So we're down at that patrol base in a couple of days, and shit knows what's going to happen. Anything can happen down there. As it turned out, we went and set up another temporary patrol base about a mile down the road, which we called Patrol Base Premier. We did the usual things, you know, sandbagging, setting up defensive positions, because, you know, we knew we were going to get contacted at some point, making ourselves at home. We had a couple of helicopter drops, got quite a lot of supplies put in there because we knew we'd be there for a good few weeks, and things were guaranteed to get a little bit spicy. There you have we had quite a big wasp problem for some reason. So the guys set up trying to get rid of the wasps. I don't know how successful they were doing that. But then we also set up defensive positions on the roof. You're not supposed to stand like that. That's an Afghan National Army guy silhouetting himself. This soldier here stood up there for about 2 seconds while I took that picture before getting into cover, because that's a very, very good way of getting yourself shot in that country. We then set up, making dinner at night and making ourselves at home, but inevitably the Taliban figured out where we were, what we were doing, and came and paid us a visit.
Shut away. Shut away. You ain't got the arc, mate. I can On. Come on. Back. Where's it? Down a bit. Yes, window. Shot. Check fire! Check fire! Just waiting on the show force now.
We also used the base as a springboard for offensive operations, heading out into the lands around us, trying to nab high-value targets or anything of interest like that. The lads were in better spirits, though, since moving to the new base, where the IED threat had dropped, because it normally takes the Taliban a couple of weeks to totally ring your base with IEDs. We had a little bit of a charmed time there, a couple of weeks where we were going out on operations and feeling a lot more secure, like I say, because the IED threat had dropped consistently. It also gave us an opportunity to interact with the locals. I had my big camera. I got some really nice shots of the kids. In Afghanistan, the kids really don't have much to play with. It's quite an impoverished area, so a lot of them just have baby birds and things like that as their toys. As you can see here, but a lot of distrust amongst the locals, as you can understand.
Eyes closed. Hey, be nice.
But eventually, after being out with the locals, it's time to return to base and resupply.
Hang on. Pain.
It was in the height of summer at this time, and the one thing that everyone really noticed was the temperature. After every patrol, when you came back, you were absolutely licked. You must have lost so many salts and electrolytes through the amount that we sweated, particularly when you were carrying heavy kit, as well as body armor, which allowed your body temperature to go through the roof. So you'd get back, get lots of fluids on board, put water over your head, pretty much anything that you could do to cool yourself down, especially the water from the well, which came from about 40 feet underground, which was absolutely lovely when you were roasting. Alright, it's about the 15th of August now, and this tour is going from crazy to bloody ridiculous. Yesterday the Queen's Company, one of our patrol bases, they set up a temporary patrol base, so they had temporary sangers out and things like that. And that is sang at ground level. And during a contact, some Taliban attacked from the south, and while everyone was concentrating on the south, a single Taliban guy crept up through the corn, attacked the sanger in the north of the base, and considering this base is only about the size of a tennis court or something like that, it's not particularly huge, managed to shoot the sentry there 3 times, once in the shoulder, once in the stomach, and once in the leg. Then climb into the sanger, took the GPMG, which is a machine gun just like this one here, general purpose machine gun. Took that one, which was on the sanger, then opened fire on the base from our own sanger position, engaged the operations room. Eventually they threw some grenades back to make him, give up his position. He took the general purpose machine gun and a whole lot of ammunition, ran off into the cornfields, and no one managed to touch him. So the Taliban now have a general purpose machine gun and ammunition to go with it. And we're going to be in the green zone in a couple of days. We didn't know at the time that that was going to be a sort of harbinger of what was to come for the Grenadier Guards. So when we were down at Premier, we took life quite easy, doing the normal patrolling and sleeping and things like that. But we actually had an opportunity to relax a little bit between patrols, read some books, catch a little bit of sun. As I said, the IED threat had dropped off, so we were feeling a lot better about life at this point. We even managed to get quite a bit of gym in, even though it was stinking hot. We did manage to use sort of each other as gym equipment, use body weight and things like that, human resistance, and get a good sweat on. There's Foxy, obviously gleaming in sweat. It must have been about 50 degrees in the middle of the day. It was really, really roasting. But we still pushed through, got some good training in, and thank goodness the well in the compound managed to keep going and supplied us with cold water the whole time. But then the bad news just kept on coming in. I made another recording 2 days ago concerning the one Queen's Company base, which was temporarily overrun. A guy was shot 5 times, not 3 as I reported, but he seems to be okay. A GPMG, general purpose machine gun, was taken in that attack. And then yesterday, even worse news, they did the same attack again on 2 bases, temporarily ran some of them over. One of the lads on sentry got some grenade frag in the face. He was also shot. They managed to get into the base and they stole another general purpose machine gun, 7.62, one of the big boys, and the sentry's own SA-80 assault rifle, which is a 5.56 caliber. It's same as this one here, same as my one. So that's what they took, and with that, which is not good, because that is a sighted weapon with optics. So in the confines of the green zone, where you can get very close, they can use that to snipe. So in the last week, the Queen's Company have had 1 guy killed, 1 guy severely injured with 5 gunshot wounds, But what they're doing down there is having Sanger positions with corn growing right up to them, so Taliban can sneak within 5 meters of a sentry position, ambush him and take him out before he even has a chance to respond. So I don't know the wisdom of that. They should just level the corn all around the sentry positions so no one can sneak up on them. But I doubt that'll happen. That's far too much common sense to prevail in this place. So yeah, that's been what's been going on. And tonight we're going into the green zone. We'll be there for about 5 days, and sure there'll be some action down there. There always is. So I'll let you know how that goes. The Hawkatron Loco. Nani's last patrol ever. He managed to survive Afghan. Eventually, temporary patrol base Premier came to an end. We broke her down and we all headed back to forward operating base RAHIM. Well, here comes a Pedro medical helicopter, one of the American ones, low over the desert. It's going to land here. We've just had a ALP IED casualty. I think he was trying to dig an IED out the ground like they do for some reason or another, and the device obviously exploded in his face. It's taken most of the fingers off both hands, and it's also got a lot of frag to the face. I think he'll be blinded because there was a lot of blood on his face when I let him through the gate. He was an absolute mess. Just have a look here, that's a Black Hawk there. Can't see very much, of course. It's a whiteout, it's just blowing the dust everywhere once it settles. Hopefully you'll be able to see a little bit more. There it is there. We've got a second one circling above, giving it protection. And the ALP casualty will be put on that and taken to Bastion, where he'll get better medical attention. But it's been a busy few days. Once this chopper's gone, there's the second one circling, giving it cover. I don't know where the casualty is, he should have been there by now. And there he comes. There's the casualty. That short little one is the medic, Danny, great medic. There they go. These are the choppers which come and land on the ground when we injure ourselves. American piloted. They'll land almost anywhere, even in contact. You see the 50 cal machine gun on their one side there. There's the gunner. That's their protection. And off he goes. They'll be back in Bastion within about 10-12 minutes or so. Over the front gates hanger there. Saw him deploying flares, which are burning on the ground still over there. And off they go. Bastion's over there in the desert, probably about 30 kilometers or so. There's the other one up there which will follow him home. They always work in pairs. I'll just give you a quick view here. They always work in pairs, one helicopter covering the other. This is the view to the northeast. You've got the desert, you can see the green zone, the mountains there in the distance. This is the camp which is being broken down. We should be out of this camp in about 3 weeks' time. So it really was sad having to break down forward operating base RAHIM. It had become our home for many, many months. We had great memories with lots of lads. The Royal Engineers came in and obviously gave us a massive hand with that. With the big earth-moving equipment, having to break down all the HESCOs and all the fortified areas, which are obviously built to be hell of a strong. So that was a big job, very, very dusty, very hot, very sweaty, and just a little bit heartbreaking having to break down a camp which many guys had sacrificed so much for. We packed up all our empty ammunition tins, sprayed yellow, as you can see there, so people know that they're empty. We had to take absolutely everything with us. They were all loaded into ISO containers, the ISO containers put onto the back of the Royal Logistical Corps trucks, and then together with the other armoured vehicles, we head out into the desert towards our new home. We were heading to Camp Price, this big main base, where we would set ourselves up as a operations company. We arrived safely in the afternoon and found our new quarters.